All right, thank you. So, what I like to do is invite my friend and brother, Elder, the brother Louis, Andre Louis, to assist me in recreating a traffic stop for you. I was thinking of being an officer, but I think it would be more appropriate for Andre to be the officer, I'm the motorist. And in this recreation, what Andre and I will try to do is to show what could go wrong in a traffic stop. You need a chair? You need a chair, Andre, you think? Okay, all right. Ah. Oh, all right. Okay. All right. Now, you know what? As I, all right, as we do it, thank you, Jason. Does anyone, I have a question. Does anyone feel, thank you, Jason. Does anyone feel anxious when they get pulled over? Okay, okay. Okay, all right. Okay, you got me, Josiah? So everyone, let's see so we're going to recreate a traffic stop. I'm going to ask you to identify the things that probably could have been done better by either myself or by Andre. All right? So, good. Okay. So I'm driving. I'm driving. I'm doing 60 and a 45.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yo, I have a bad day already, you know, man. Can I speak
Whoop,
patois?
whoop.
Can I speak a little patois? Okay. I'm already having a bad day today, and I can't bother with another pull Babylon system, you know. Yeah. Okay, can't bother.
So,
yeah.
So he's over speeding. He's driving, he's in his car. So I'm in my car, so I come out now, and I'm approaching his car. He's in his car, and I'm approaching his car. So I approach his car.
And left-hand drive. Yeah, okay.
And in fact, so approaching his car, I would tell him, sir, could you pull on your window? And I'm staying behind him.
Yeah.
So
sure.
So pull down your window. He bring down his window, and then still I'm going to stay behind him. And I'm approaching him, and I'm going to say, I'm doing the proper. He said, good afternoon, sir. Do you know that you were aware of the speed that you were going?
Sir, I don't want to pull down a window and talk to nobody right now. I'm going to get to that place right away. And I don't want to but
okay,
anyway,
sir, but you see, you are driving on a road that speed limit is 45 miles an hour, and you're going 60 miles. So now you're going 15 miles over the speed limit. So that's the reason why I'm pulling you over. Do you have any license, insurance, registration? May I have it? First thing, sir, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. That's what I'm going to ask you to do.
Okay.
Where is those documents?
All right, my driver's license is at home. My brother car, and I'm never insured. I'm planning to insure it, but it's not insured right now.
Okay, so you're not insured, you have no insurance, and you're driving the car so fast.
Yes.
So you're tracking, that means you're telling me that you're really, what's the reason why you're going so fast?
Well, I'm late for, my wife is, no. Well, I'm late for work, really late for work.
Okay.
And yeah.
Well, no, you're going to be more late. So listen, I'm going to ask you. So whatever document you have, I'm going to ask you to open the glove compartment and give them to me. That's in the car.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. You sure you wanna? Okay. All right. Let me go in the glove
Yeah,
compartment.
so I'm going to tell you, you get it, all right? Whatever you gave me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take. Then I'm going to say, do you have any ID, your personal ID? You have
Well,
no personal ID?
yeah, it's in my. Well, I don't have a blazer on, but it's in my blazer, but it's at home, so I
So you
don't
have
have
no ID?
no ID.
Okay, so therefore now I'm just talking to an unknown person then. Because I can't, what is your name?
My name is. Huh? My name is Andre Lewis.
Okay, 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 all right. Listen, what I want you to do, just stay right here in the vehicle for me, and I'll be back, okay? Don't come
Okay.
out, stay in your vehicle. And I'm going to back up, and I'm going to go into my vehicle now, and I'm going to run all the information that he just gave me. Then the name that he gave me, I'm going to run it. And if everything comes up and I see him, then I'm going to go back to him again. How you doing, young man?
I'm all right. I'm all
So
right.
you're Andre Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. So, your cousin, he gave you authorization to drive this car, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the car have no insurance and none of that on the car. So therefore, the car shouldn't be on the road. So this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to step out of the car for me, okay? Thank you.
What? I'm not really feel for step out, sir.
I'm going to ask you to step out of the car for me.
Okay, I'm stepping out. I'm step out.
Okay, do me a favor. Turn around. I'm going to put cuffs on him there, at there.
Really? Just give me a blinder, sir.
No. Wait. Two things can happen, putting the cuff on him. It's up to my discretion. He can be arrested for driving a car. He has no license, first thing, driving a car without a license. And no, the insurance is not really his insurance. It's really the next person's insurance. So this car should not be. This car is going to get impounded, and, and his cousin have to come and get it, where they're going to impound it. So, he said he starts to home. Well, that's it. Well, if I can, well, when you run him and he has a license still, he should have his license on him still.
Okay.
Should have his license on him.
Yeah.
So it's up to an officer discretion, really, to let him go and just take the car at that point, yeah.
Okay.
Because the car shouldn't be on the road without insurance. Your car shouldn't be on the road. Well, if the car insured, we can leave the car there, get contact with his cousin to come and get the car.
All right.
The name that he gave me is going to get arrested because he's using aliases. I don't know who he is. I got to carry him now to downtown so they can fingerprint him to find out who he really is.
Church, and they don't do that. So, it's a good young man. He's in the church. He has his driver's license. A different scenario.
Well, as I said, it's an officer discretion. But, when I pull him over and I stop and I run his information, right, you can get in trouble because even if he's in church or not, because what happened is that he said he has no license, right? Or he has a license. If he has his license, that's okay. But if he has no license now, he got to go. He's going to be arrested.
No, Lincoln. I have a favor to ask. At the end of this presentation, if we have 5 minutes, can we rerun it with the motorist doing all the good things that a motorist should do during the? Is that all right?
Well, actually, this traffic stop where you do this is a good traffic stop.
Really?
Yeah. Because most of the time you encounter people they're angry and they give you a hard time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll do it better then. Right?
Wait
Sure.
on the mic. Wait on the microphone, Ella.
And then so Elephantum, before you say something, I wanted to outline the format. So what I'll be doing, I'll be giving some statistics and traffic stops. Then what I'll be doing is I'm going to invite Lincoln to kind of share with us the perspective of the officer during the traffic stop, expectations of the motorist during the traffic stop, and anything else you'd like to add. Then I'm going to ask Sister Grace Sachel to share with us the rights of the motorist. And then I'm going to ask someone to share with us what the Bible says about our relationship with law enforcement. All right, and then we could maybe, if we have the time, we could do. And then we're going to open for question and answers.
Yeah, I've like 2 of my friends should have been here, but they couldn't make it. But they are listening. They're online. I should be online.
Should be online. Okay.
So they're going to come in on the thing, on the screen, and you guys can also ask them. Because they work every day on the road. Because I'm not really, I don't really work every day on the road. I work with detention, but sometimes I'm outside on the road.
Someone online? Okay. Is someone online? Okay. So what I'll do, so I'm going to ask actually to hold the questions until the end because we may be actually able to answer some of those questions. So Brother Samuels, thank you for your time. Stay close. I might ask you for some more help. All right? I hear some, yeah. So I was trying to be a rude driver, but I didn't do a good job, right? I was trying, but anyways. So I have some slides here. Yeah, right? Right? Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Right.
And a lot of officers on the street, they don't like to know that, you are holding to your rights because when you get pulled over, you don't even have to wind down your window. You understand what I'm saying? You could just barely wind it down and you could speak through the window for them to hear. But some of them get offended because you don't roll it down the way they want you to roll it down. So, I mean, we must remember that we have rights as motorists.
That's right.
And we don't have to basically listen to what the police says to do.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And that aggregate them.
And I think, Sister, I just that. No, Eric, you.
Program first before you get into this.
All right. Okay.
Do your
All
program.
right.
Do your program.
Uh-huh.
Let him get into the program, Eric.
Okay. All right.
Let him
So we
get
start
into
late.
his
Okay.
program
So
before
we
we
start
get
a little bit late. So I'm just going to get into the slides. So what I have is just 5 minutes on statistics. So we're going to do what the numbers say. And these numbers are from the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Vital Statistics 2020. Next slide. All right, so traffic stops. So I'm going to just set the context for this conversation. So it's Black History Month, and also it is the month of the Margate SDA church calendar where we're focusing on relationships. So it's important to have an understanding of how we can improve or maintain the relationship that we have with law enforcement. So I must say that the elephant in the room is that we recently had an incident where a young man was, he died in police custody. And then we've heard of many other instances. So what I want to just state are some facts in terms of statistics. So these statistics are actually done by surveys. So the citizens in the U.S., they get surveyed each year by the Bureau of Vital Statistics, and then these statistics, I guess, I think they're sent to the Department of Justice. So about 21% of U.S. residents age 16 and above had contact with the police in 2020. Now, a smaller share of persons had contact with the police compared to the previous year. Compared to 2018. In 2020, females were more likely than males to initiate contact with police, while males were more likely than females to experience police-initiated contact. So males are more likely to have the police called to initiate that contact. Among U.S. residents who initiated their most recent contact with the police, almost half did so to report a possible crime. Most residents who initiated police contact were satisfied with the police response. Blacks and Hispanic persons were more likely to experience the threat of force or use of non-fatal force during their most recent police contact in 2020 compared to white persons. And the share of persons who said they experienced police misconduct during their most recent contact was not statistically different compared to 2018 and 2020. The majority of persons whose most recent police contact was during a traffic stop experienced no enforcement action. So, just to summarize, if the police is called, more than likely is to initiate contact with a male. 1, 2, blacks and Hispanics have a higher incidence of the non-fatal or threatening force from the police. But most traffic stops are fine and benign and have no presence of anything aggressive. So most traffic stops are safe, but when there's the use of threatening force, it usually involves a black or a Hispanic. So those are the relevant statistics for this talk. And at this time, I'd like to invite my sister and friend, Sister Sachelle Gray, to come up. All right, it's Esquire, right? Yeah. Yeah, welcome. No, and then Sister Gray will discuss the rights of the motorist. I'd like to ask the tech team to pull up Sister Gray's PowerPoint.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Sabbath afternoon. How are you? I had hoped more young people would be here for this because it's specific for them. Well, there's some over there. But it's more specific for young men. And these tips I'm sharing with you were created by lawyers for black men. So traffic, police encounters, like Chad said earlier, it's different, clearly, based on your race, whether we like to acknowledge that fact or not. And in the court system, you see the disparities very starkly, how black and brown men are treated versus how white men are treated. So anyway, so what I have here, I have 2 sets of slides. One is how to treat a traffic ticket stop, and one is how to treat a non-traffic ticket stop, because sometimes police will stop you because you're speeding or making a bad turn or whatever the case may be. Other times they'll just stop you because your car looks like someone that they're looking for, or you're in an area where a crime was just committed and they want to see who's in the car. So for traffic ticket stops, next slide. Oh, I can't see. All right, so basically, and they've covered, most of this you know already. When you see the flashing lights behind you, what do? You stop if you can, because sometimes you can't. So the next best thing, if you can stop right away, you stop, you pull over safely. If you can't pull over, the first thing you need to do is turn on your indicator signal, so the officer knows that you intend to get out of traffic and stop. If you don't do that, the officer, and let me say this, it's a double-edged sword. The officer is doing a job, and they've been trained a certain way to do their job. You have your rights, and you should assert your rights, but also be mindful of the fact that the officer is human, and I'm not here to minimize the damage that they can cause, but bear in mind that they're also human, and they are subject to the same things we are, the same emotions. They can be afraid. So Brother Leifer was saying earlier, you don't have to open your window when you get stopped, and he's correct. You don't have to, but it's better if you do, for the simple reason that the officer can see what's going on inside your car. If your window is all the way up or mostly up, he can become afraid. He could say, well, there could be someone in there with a gun that I can't see. So we have to also balance, what they're thinking versus what we're thinking. So anyway, when you see the lights, you turn on your turn signal and you try to stop. And you stop as soon as you can stop. If you don't use your turn signal, and I hope you can see it, it's a little, okay. If you don't use your turn signal and you have to drive a bit before stopping, the officer may think that you are fleeing and eluding. And in Florida, fleeing and eluding is the failure of a driver to stop or remain stopped when ordered by a law enforcement officer. And it's a crime, it's a felony. And I don't know if most of you should know the difference between traffic tickets versus misdemeanors versus felony crimes, right? A felony is one where you will definitely get jail time, so don't do it. If, well, it says it there, fleeing and eluding is a serious criminal offense with felony penalties that may include prison and a mandatory driver's license revocation. That means you will never drive again in the state of Florida. So we don't want to do that, so it's best to, should I take questions now or should I just go through? We're gonna, yeah, it's just basically what that one was saying. If you see flashing lights behind you, put on your indicator and try to get off the road as soon as you can. The next thing you do once you're stopped, you turn off your ignition. And you want to do this before the officer starts approaching your vehicle because the movement of your hand to turn off the key could cause the officer to think you're doing something else and pull their gun and, you know. So you want to turn your car off, remove your hands from that area, put your hands on the steering wheel. And also by turning off the ignition, you are easing the officer's concerns that you may flee from the stop. And so some of you might be thinking, well, this isn't about easing the officer's concern. And it's not. It's about you getting out of there with your life. So next slide, please. Okay, so once you've turned off your ignition, you've stopped, you stay in your car. And this is important. Unless the officer orders you to leave your car, do not leave your car. If you leave the car, they will think that you're running away or you're gonna attack them. Anything could be going through their mind. So no matter what, unless ordered out of the car, you remain in the car. It doesn't matter if you have an outstanding bench warrant, you're drunk, the car stinks of weed, whatever, stay in the car. A misdemeanor arrest is better than instant death. If you run, they will probably shoot you. And so no matter the circumstances, don't get out of your car to engage the officer. Let the officer come to you. If you have passengers in your car, make sure that the passengers remain seated as well. Next slide, please. And now we're back to this. Once the ignition is turned off and your window is down, place your hands on the wheel in the 10 and 2 o'clock positions. Everybody knows what that is, right? Like what Brother Chad just did. This is important. Do not grip the steering wheel. You want to put your hands on the wheel so they can see all your fingers. If you want to allow enough space between your hands so that the officer doesn't suspect that you're holding something in your hands other than the steering wheel. You want to make sure you don't move your hands no matter what. Make sure they are there when the officer approaches your window. Your hands need to be in plain sight of the officer. And so do not, at this point, reach for your driver's license or your registration. You be still, keep your hands there until they tell you. So next slide. That's the next one? Okay. All right. They will probably ask for your license, at which point, like someone said it earlier, you want to say to the officer, or you guys did it in the little play, it's in my glove box. I am going to reach into my glove box to get it. Is that okay? And you want to do it as slowly as possible, no sudden movements, no fast movements to trigger them. You want to reach in there, get what you need to get. My husband used to work for a sheriff's department, and he told me this: keep your registration and your insurance in a little envelope above your the visor, like you stick it in there. And I do that. He says, when you get pulled over, and the officer asks you for it, you take it from there. That way, there's no reaching into a glove compartment where there could be a gun or anything of that sort to scare them. So that's just a little tip. All right, so presumably everything will go well. You might be upset because you don't think you were speeding or whatever they're stopping you for. One other thing I want to point out before I get to taking the ticket. When you get pulled over by an officer, he's going to ask you a bunch of questions. And the first thing they tend to ask, do you know why I stopped you? And your answer should be no. Done. No explanation. You don't need to say, I am late to pick up my, do not give them an explanation. I don't know why you stopped me, done. If they ask, what we need to do, when police officers ask questions, you give them the answer they asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. What color is your hair? Black, done. What color shoes are you wearing? Purple, done. You don't need to go into any detailed explanation of anything. Can you go back, please? I didn't go through that yet. So if they give you a ticket, in most states in the US, it's a crime to refuse to take the ticket, okay? So take the ticket. The act of defiance will turn a non-criminal traffic stop into an arrest. If you refuse to take the ticket, the officer is within his rights now, under the law, to arrest you. When officers go into arrest mode, especially with a person deemed uncooperative, which you now are uncooperative because you've refused to take the ticket, this is when people can get hurt or killed. Signing a ticket is never an admission. This is important. Signing the ticket does not mean you're admitting to guilt or that you're promising to pay the fine. It's simply an acknowledgement of the charges and the promise to either appear in court or deal with it. It's not an admission of guilt. A lot of people confuse that, thinking that if I sign this ticket, I'm signing a statement to say, yes, I agree that I did this. That's not what it is. Sign the ticket, take the ticket, go home in one piece. If you are, you are not achieving a moral victory by refusing to sign the ticket. And sometimes we get upset when we get pulled over and you kind of want to be defiant or, you know, show the officer, I know my rights or whatever. Just take the ticket and go home. All right, so now you've got the ticket. The next thing you need to do is, again, put on your turn signals and drive away. Don't give the officer a reason to pull you over again, because if you pull off the wrong kind of way and they don't like it, they can stop you again. They can give you another ticket. Even if you're upset, you feel disrespected, you're angry, whatever, don't speed away recklessly. You know, some people, they press the gas and dust and everything flying. Don't do that. Just take your time, merge into traffic, and go on about your business. Apply your turn signal, pull out into traffic carefully while obeying the speed limit. You don't want another ticket. So that's basically kind of it for traffic ticket stops. Then there's stops where, like I said, there could be a crime going on in the area and they're looking for people. They'll stop, you know, if they say that a black man, and it's always a black man, that robbed somewhere or shot something or did something, and they see you, a black man, driving by, they're going to stop you because they want to see if you match the suspect's description. So these kinds of traffic stops are a little more tense because this time it's not just about getting a ticket. It's, you could probably get arrested, you could get shot, all kinds of things. So let's go with this one. Next slide. So if the officer stops you, they'll probably ask you a bunch of questions. Again, like I said, only respond to what you're asked. If the officer says, you know, were you at that place? No. Where are you coming from? Work. Where are you going? Home. That's it. Don't give them explanations. And then when they're done questioning you, you are within your rights to say, am I free to leave? If they don't tell you you can go, you can ask them, am I free to leave now? If the officer says yes, you are free to leave. This becomes what we call a consensual encounter, meaning anything that happens from here on out, you've implicitly agreed to it because the officer already told you you could leave. Once the officer tells you that you can leave, I have it there in all caps with an exclamation sign, leave. You don't need to linger. You don't need to ask him anything. Go. Next slide. If you ask the officer if you're free to leave and he says, no, you are not free to leave, this is now a detention stop. It's not yet an arrest. It's a detention. And so the difference is with an arrest, they're accusing you, they're saying that you are a suspect, you might have committed a crime, and so they have to arrest you. With a detention, they are still trying to figure out who you are, what you're doing, whether they need to let you go or they need to hold on to you. If they say that you can't leave and it's a detention, then you remain calm. These are the things you do. You remain calm, you show proof of ID if requested, and with regards to, Chad getting pulled over, he doesn't have his ID on him. You should always have identification on you. If you don't have a driver's license, you should have a state-issued ID. The DMV will give you a state ID that looks just like a driver's license if you don't drive, that you can use for ID purposes, or a passport, whatever. You should have some form of ID on you to say, this is who I am, because like with Chad, well, we all know Chad is Chad. But let's say, for instance, he really got pulled over. He doesn't have his ID, no identification on him. And he says, my name is Andre Lewis. And then the officer goes and he runs the name of Andre Lewis through his database. What we should understand, and Lincoln can elaborate on this, police officers have access to extreme levels of information about you. Everything that the DMV has on file, they have access to it. And they can tap into other states' databases. They know who's who. They can pull you up. If you say, my name is Andre, my date of birth is July 1, they will go and put that in. And they'll see who Andre is, and it doesn't look like Chad. Chad's going to get arrested because, no, I don't know who he is. He could be a criminal. So it's always good to have your ID on you so you can show that to the police officer. The next thing you want to do is ask the officer, why am I being detained? Next slide. You want to know what they're holding you for. You just ask that, you take the answer, and you move on from there. These are the things you do not do. And this is very common. Do not consent to a search. I don't want to sound mean, but I'm just going to say this. The police is not your friend. They are not your friend. They're not there to be your friend and your buddy. They are doing a job. If they ask to search your car, your answer should be no. They don't have a right to search your car. If they don't have a warrant and they don't have, I hate this word, if they don't have a reasonable suspicion that you've committed a crime, they have no reason to search your car. They can override your denial of consent under certain circumstances. If there's imminent danger, if, like I said, if there's a crime, let's say they're hearing on your radio that someone broke into a house in the area and the suspect is fleeing, whatever, they can stop everybody in that area and search them. If, let's say, they're looking for guns or drugs or whatever. So they can do that. But under most circumstances, if you say no to a search, they should not search your vehicle, and you should say no. Then you also don't want to argue or fight with the police. That will not get you anywhere good. And there's another important one. Do not make any statements to the police. I've kind of belabored this already. Don't give an explanation. Don't say where you're going. Don't give them information that they did not ask for. Because at this point, you're detained. Anything that you say going forward is evidence against you. So have nothing to say. Then you can ask again, now I've answered your questions, am I free to leave? If the officer says yes, you are free to leave, you leave. If the officer says no, next slide, please. If you're still not free to leave, then you want to ask him, am I under arrest? Why can't I leave? Next slide. If he says yes, you're under arrest, then this is what you do. You stop talking. The only things that should come out your mouth at this point is, I want a lawyer. If you start, like I said, anything you say at this point is evidence against you. So don't have anything to say. Remain silent. Again, do not consent to a search of your vehicle or your person. Do not consent to anything at all. Tell the officer, I want a lawyer, and let them take it from there. You don't have to speak. Sometimes you can feel intimidated by police officers. They're powerful people. They have guns. You will feel threatened and intimidated, and you'll want to talk. Don't say anything. You've got to have to preserve your own rights. Sorry. Yeah, don't have anything to say to the officer. It's pressure, and that's how they operate. They will intimidate. They will tell you, oh, it's for your own good if you tell me this and tell me that. No, don't have anything to say. Let them, if they are arresting you, let them arrest you. Let them take you downtown. Let them process you. They have to get you a lawyer. Do not say anything. Keep your mouth closed. Next slide. If the officer says that, no, you're not under arrest, you're free to go. Again, leave. Get out of there. There's no reason for you to linger around. Next slide. And if all else fails, this is not a joke. I'm very serious. Matthew 28, verse 10 says, fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. At the end of the day, we're Christians. We believe in God. And at any given point, we shouldn't be walking around with our salvation hanging in the balance. We need to do what we need to do to make sure that if we get stopped, and unfortunately we are going to get killed by the police, we need to be assured that everything is right with God and let God take care of it. Because the sad truth is, and you've all seen it, sometimes you do all of these things. You do everything right, and you still end up getting hurt or killed. What's the guy's name? Tyree Nichols. I never watched the video. I can't stomach it. But apparently it appears, and it sounds like he tried to comply. A lot of people, I hear people all the time saying, well, black men and black people wouldn't get pulled over so much, wouldn't get hurt by police if they just did as they are told. And yes, we do try to do as we're told, but sometimes it's still not good enough. So just, do what you have to do. Make sure your soul is right with God. And
You want to take questions now?
oh, okay. All right. Okay.
The lawyers that draft up that have these ideas and draft up these basically recommendations how we should operate in a traffic stop. I think they realize the severity of black and brown people dying in traffic stop. But in the meantime, I think they gave up too much. Because if you are supposed to be the compliant one as the driver, it simply means that things not going to get any better. And the young people coming behind us would have to submit to everything the policeman says. There are laws that govern a traffic stop. And as a civilian out there, we have laws to abide by. And I do think that most of these police officers, when they say X, they expect you to do X, and they disregard the law. And that's one of the problem that we are having. If we want to be equal, treated equally with how the white drivers are treated, we have to fight for what we believe. The other thing is this, that you just don't give your ID to a policeman because he asks for it. If he did not catch you committing a crime, or he knows that you're on your way to commit a crime, you don't have to give him your ID. You ask him why he wants your ID, because every time he run that ID, you understand you are in the system. You go in the database, and when another police run it for some other reason, it shows that you probably have some kind of propensity, to be run by police officers. So you don't want that, So you make sure that you ask him why, does he have a reason to ask for your ID? Am I committing a crime? Am I on my way to commit a crime? And you know of that, and you can refuse to give him that ID.
True. A lot of what I don't disagree with anything that Elder Lifer said. It's a personal choice for you. If you want to, I agree with him that if we roll over and play dead on everything, nothing will ever change. But it's also a personal decision for you whether you want to fight or you want to go home. For me personally, I want my son to come home. If they ask for your ID, Kyle, give them your ID. Let them run it. If you don't give them if the officer asks for your ID and you ask him, why do you want my ID? And you refuse to give him your ID. The officer, and these things are not, it's not designed to make black people give up their rights. The officer can turn around and say, you are being uncooperative, you're being obstructive, you're doing this, you're doing that. And so these sorts of things tend to escalate the tension in these kinds of situations. So it's really up to you how much escalation you can handle and how much you're okay with. For me personally, here's my ID. Do what you want to do and let me go home.
I think you answered the question. I was about to ask if they fail to provide a reasonable, articulate suspicion, are you required by law to give up your ID? But I think you said it's a personal choice.
Yeah, you're not required by law to give them your ID, but right, it's a personal choice for you,
All right. So now I have a favor, Eric, and everyone, Sister Berry. I wanted Lincoln to get a chance to come up to share, or if you want to come up, or. Right. No, Lincoln. Yeah, Lincoln. Yeah, you could come up and. Thanks, Sasha. Okay.
Yeah, he's on his way. Our next officer is coming, and he does a lot more traffic stuff. But I'm here. I'm here because I'm in your shoes, and I see both sides of it. What happened?
After you just give Sasha.
I can say, because quickly, the brother Lifer said. I'm speaking to the young people. Yes, he's right here. Okay, I'm speaking to the young people. Listen, it is easier for you to de-escalate the situation. So if they ask you for your ID, believe me, it is better to give the ID. Because you know what? They can find something else. It's called a pretext stop, where they can find something else to know the reason why they stop you. So just give them the ID. Simple as that.
All right, I'm just going to take the questions related to what I said, and then the gentleman will proceed. So who has the mic? All right, so Brother Riddell, then Sister Berry, Sister Margaret, and Sister Gray. And, okay. All right, make them short, please.
Good evening, everyone. Let me tell you, make sure when you have a car, you insure and license, and you have a valid driver license. If a police stop you, you know your car insure and you have your license, it shouldn't be a problem to give them what they want. You have to give away your rights sometimes. You have your rights not to give him your license or whatever, but if he stop you and you know your license is valid and your insurance, give it to him. I don't see a problem with that. And another thing, these young men, they drive and they get tickets, and they don't know that points come off their license. And they continue driving and getting tickets and feel they can drive, and police run that plate and know that their license It's done. And they get locked up and cause problem.
Yeah. And before you move on, don't look at it as giving away your rights. We live in a society of laws, and everything is mutual. We have rights, but your rights are balanced by you not breaking the law. So you have a right to have your rights insofar as you're not infringing on anybody else's rights or you're not breaking the law. So don't look at it as giving up your rights to comply with what the officer is requesting of you.
Yes, my thing is, the moment a policeman stops or he's watching you from what you're doing, whether you're speeding or making bad turns, he's already got you. So he's running your driver's license instantly. The moment he's behind you, he knows how to tap in to the computer that is in front of him to know your driver's license, who you are inside it, unless you're not the person. The moment the police comes up to you, give respect. You want respect. Make sure you act with respect. So when you act with respect and he disrespect you, you don't have anything bad feelings about yourself, especially when you're a Christian. And you go, and especially seventh day, make sure that you give the respect that you want, and then that policeman will give it back to you. Now, you may have one rude or so, but a lot of us out there that, because I did it once before, disrespect a policeman. I honestly did. And yes, him stopping my car, and I didn't think him have any reason. But that was quite a while back. I jump out of my car like I was the police. I said, what are you stopping me for? What? And the policeman was like, really? Really? I ain't lying to you. I ain't lying. The policeman just looked, really? And I said, but you don't, what are you stopping me for? Did I do something? The man just give me a double ticket.
And Sister Berry probably got away with that because she's a lady. But she got a double ticket, yes, but the officer didn't slap her with his gun or anything because she's a woman. Let a man do that. All right, so we have Brother Smith and then Sister Margaret and Sister Gray.
My first question was to Chad. The way I see a driver like Chad once, there was on 56, there's a lane that they don't want you to drive over. And every morning I used to drive there and somebody get at it. One morning I get up there behind someone. He was just in time to leave after collecting his ticket. And he moved out in a manner where right at the 56 and by he reached Turnpike, the stoplight, he run the red and the speed he was getting. There was another bike cop there, stop him again. I decided that morning I wasn't even going to go to work. I was going to see how much more he get to get. But otherwise, not with me. Sometimes the cops can stop you and give you a ticket for nothing. I was going to Miami, and I see a police car under a mango tree. And after I drive past, I see it come up, see the red light, pull over, believe they need road, is me they want. So I stop, and the lady come up to me, oh, you was coming from that way, 95. I wasn't coming from 95, I was coming from US 1. I said, no. So I said, okay, good. And when I looked down there was nowhere to come from 95 and turn there. So I said, okay, she give me the ticket. The court is there. I go to the court. I tell the judge where I was coming from, where I was going. The judge look and see there's nowhere because he's in Miami, so he must drive there too. And he throw the case. So you don't have to fight it. You go to the court, and if it's not, so you'll get your right.
Yeah, it's an inconvenience to deal with traffic tickets, but okay, Sister Berry, she wasn't a Christian when she did that. So I was saying that traffic tickets are an inconvenience. Sometimes you end up paying a lower fine. So for instance, Brother Riddell said something about, I can't remember what he said. When you get the ticket, you can the points on your license. Tickets carry points, and the points add up, and you can lose your driver license. So Yes, it's frustrating getting a ticket, but there are ways to fight it, and a lot of people don't know this. Take the ticket to court. Plead no contest. You'll get probably half of what you would have paid if you opted to pay the ticket online. All you need to do is find the courthouse that the ticket's assigned to, go there, tell them you want to enter a plea of not guilty within the 30 days, and get a court date. When you go to court, the hearing officer, the judge is going to say, do you want to plead no contest, or do you want to take it to trial? I don't recommend taking them to trial. You're never going to win, especially with a speeding ticket. You cannot prove you weren't speeding, especially when they clock you. So if you do a no contest, I got a ticket about a year ago. I was going 90 in, it was night, and I needed to get to Tampa, and I was going very fast. And the officer stopped me somewhere out there on Alligator Alley, and he gave me a ticket. I took my ticket, and I went, and I pled not guilty. And when I went to the hearing, the hearing officer said, we're doing discounts today. If all of you decide not to go to trial, I'm going to give you between $90 and $150 to pay. My ticket was $365. And I walked out of there, paid $125. I paid $125. I didn't get points on my license. So you've got to be a little bit aware of how the tickets and the court system work. Now, if you've been racking them up and you go in front of a judge, they're going to give you the points. So you kind of have to balance it. You can take driving classes to minimize. You do a 4-hour, and God forbid you get another ticket in the next 6 months, then you have to do an 8-hour driving class. But there are ways to keep it off, and there are ways to not be stressed out over these things. So Sister Gray and Sister Margaret been waiting. Hold on, sis. She has the mic, and then I'll come to you.
I don't have
Talking to the mic.
But
Hold on, sis. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
But if I don't have a copy of my driver's license, can I have it on my phone and it's acceptable?
No, it's not. It's yeah.
So pretty much, if you don't have your driver's license on you, right? There are ways to find that, right? But however, you're supposed to drive with your driver's license at all times. If you have a picture on your phone, depends on who you're dealing with. They might allow it, they might not. Most times, it's fine. I can see on the system you have a valid driver's license, right? As long as you have a valid driver's license, I'm fine. A lot of people want to actually see the physical copy of it, but I would always recommend having a physical copy. If not, take a picture of it. That way, if you lose it, because you don't only need a driver's license for driving, you need to identify yourself if anything happens, or even somebody said insurance, that too, have your insurance handy in your vehicle as well as your registration. But for the driver's license, if you don't have your driver's license on you, it's not a big deal. It's a $10 ticket. As long as you have a valid driver's license, you can still bring it to the court and prove that you have a valid driver's license, and then the ticket gets dismissed.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. If you don't have your driver's license, take the ticket, go to court, you pay $10, and the ticket's dismissed. It will not go on your license. The same thing goes for registration, and in some cases, insurance. You just need to take it and prove that you had it, and then you'll get out of that ticket. So,
yes,
Sister Margaret.
This is a little bit, you're talking about car, but what about walking? Because sometimes my son wants to go to Walmart or stuff. I don't want him to go. I don't even want him to walk on the road, but I have to let him be a man. He was walking with his friend to Walmart, and police stopped him. They was looking for somebody that have the same backpack, the black suit and stuff. He was shaking because this never happened before. He was literally shaking. You know why he was not a suspect? Because he was wearing a glasses. What do I say to him? What, do you have to stop? What if he put up resistance or what?
No, don't resist. I'm going to let the officer handle this.
He's just 16. He was shaking. It's the first experience. He met somebody. He was just going to Walmart to get his stuff.
Okay, yeah, and that happens all the time. You have three levels of encounters when you deal with law enforcement. It's going to be consensual, you have reasonable suspicion, and you have probable cause, right? So at that point, when you're in a consensual stop, you see anybody walking down the street, you can stop them. How's your day going? Whatever. If they don't want to talk to you anymore, they're free to go, as long as there's no crime, right? Okay, so the scenario you're speaking about, that's reasonable suspicion, right? There's a description given over the radio with a bolo, somebody who was involved in a crime or some form of investigative matter, right? You see somebody walking down the street, you can stop anybody. Somebody wearing a red shirt, black shirt, with black shoes on. If you see somebody walking on the street, red shirt, black shoes on, you do have reasonable suspicion to stop that person, right? Therefore, ID that person and identify who that person is to see if they are a subject of your investigation, correct? So at that point in time, if that person does refuse to identify themselves, then you can get charged for failure to identify yourself, obstruction, or even as far as resisting without violence, right? So at the point in time when some people get belligerent and start fighting or even run, even today, I had somebody run. I chased somebody like 15 minutes ago before I got here. So, and I can tell you that. So pretty much it was a traffic stop, right? The vehicle was driving. No, I know, I'm just giving you the same example. It's the same principle anyways, but the vehicle's driving, I go behind the vehicle, activate my lights, initiate a traffic stop, right? The vehicle tries to flee from me, crashes into another vehicle, hits the curb, damages the vehicle. As he said, 56 and 56 and Sunrise Boulevard. That street is notorious for people doing that, right? So the vehicle crashes right there. The guy jumps out the car and starts running. Why? I don't know. But who just does that? Start running for no reason, right? So I end up chasing that person, and whatever, he got tased, whatever. He ended up getting charged for obstruction, resisting without violence, fleeing and eluding, all that. So even if you are walking, that is reasons and grounds to stop you still and still identify who you are to see if you are a suspect or a subject of whatever case that is being investigated, right? Whether it's confirmed or not, if you're not the party involved, sorry, explain to the person. Of course, we're all human. Explain to the person, listen, this is why I stopped you. I stopped you because of this. You match the description. However, it's not you. Sorry for the trouble. You're free to leave, right? It depends on your approach. A lot of times, of course, it might be escalated because depending on the crime that you're investigating, if somebody just got shot, then I'm not gonna come up to you and shake your hand and say, hey, I'm such an, you know what I'm saying? You have a different approach. But for the most part, essentially, you just want to get that person identified. If it's not them, then go. I always encourage people, listen, give your name, whatever. We already know your name. I can find your name easily. You know what I'm saying? You can't hide. So identify yourself, and if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. You can't be stopped even while walking.
Question for the officer. Do you suggest recording or interactions with police officers, and why not?
Do I recommend it? I personally can't say that. I have my body cam. My body cam is always recording. So even sometimes just for the fun of it to provoke me, a lot of people will put cameras in my face. I'm recording you. I'll tell them, listen, I'm recording you as well. It's fine. But you have your amendment right, your First Amendment right. You are allowed to speak, freedom of speech, freedom of press, congregate, all that stuff. You can record legally, right? But it gets to a point where, and as I explained, you have 3 levels of law enforcement encounters, right? If you're on a traffic stop, you can record as much as you please. If the officer asks you to step out the vehicle, you can't. You have to. Not you can. You have to. If the officer asks you to step out of the vehicle, you have to, because essentially a traffic stop is detention. If you are on a traffic stop, you are detained, right? Because you are being investigated for traffic enforcement. It's still a crime. So if you're in the vehicle while you're on a traffic stop, you can record. However, when an officer asks you to step out of the vehicle, you have to step out of the vehicle. Sometimes, they'll tell you to put the phone down or not. It's up to you how far you want to take the situation, but you are allowed to record. Would I recommend it? It's up to you. However you feel. If you feel unsafe, then by all means record. If you want to put the phone in your cup holder, if you want to set it up somewhere, by all means go for it.
I saw my niece did something and I like the idea, so I'm sharing it because she was on her way home. It was very late, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and I guess she was speeding and the cops put his light on, and to stop her, she was scared, so she stopped, but she called 911 and she said, I'm a black woman, it's light, I'm scared, the cops stopped me, and 911 stayed with her throughout the entire process. And I think that was a good idea. But my question to you is, the body cam, can we trust it? I don't know if you're able to answer that question, but can it be adjusted? Can I trust you that what is shown on the body cam is not adjusted by you, the cop? Can the cop adjust what?
So to answer that, we don't have access to edit the body cam footage. It can't be edited. We don't have access to it pretty much. We can view it for the most part just to write a report or for investigative purposes to, let's say, to see a tag or see who was on scene. Let's say you didn't get the names of everybody, you write them down. You might have asked them on scene, and you just probably watch your body cam just to recall what was said or what was done. But for the most part, you can't go in and change any footage or make any form of adjustments. No, there's no form of editing that can be done.
Jonathan, quick question. We oftentimes hear about the interaction between the police and citizens from the citizens' perspective. Are you able to share what you go through emotionally during a traffic stop? Is it a stressful experience? Are you anxious? Because sometimes I think we forget that you guys are human as well.
For the most part, it all depends on what the traffic stop is for. You have a variety of different things you can pull a vehicle for, and right here I have the statute book. This is updated every year, right? So there's a million reasons to stop a vehicle, and I heard somebody said that the officer stopped them for no reason. That is not true. You know, there's anything that you can be pulled over for, even if you made it big or small. It's still a valid reason, a legal reason to be stopped, even though you may not agree with it. Right? So when a traffic stop is initiated, me personally, it all depends on what I'm stopping the vehicle for. Right? If it's a brake light, a lot of time officers know when they're going to write a ticket or not. I write a ticket for egregious incidents and traffic infractions. Right? If a person has a tag light out, I'll stop you just to tell you, listen, get your tag light fixed, because I'm not going to write you a ticket, but the next person who stops you might do it. I'm not going to write you for your brake light being out, because it's not a big deal. I'm going to give you a ticket to pay while you could have just used that money to fix your brake light. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times I just do it just to notify you, let you know, fix it, get it fixed, and go home safe, you know, because who knows what the next person will do. You have a question?
Yes. Brother, why is it when you have a police officer stop somebody, they call for backup? It's 3 and 4
I don't
of
know.
them and
All right,
you alone.
so you don't call for backup. You have this thing called dispatch, right? These imaginary people that somewhere you never see them, you just hear them on the radio, right? So when you call out a traffic stop, you do it over the radio. And once you initiate the traffic stop, so pretty much you give where you are, the vehicle, how many people in the car, everything of that sort. By policy, they have to send somebody to back you up. By policy. Mm-hmm. And I understand that, and it all depends on the officer's interaction with the driver. You know, most people understand that once I get pulled over, there's probably going to be a backup officer. If you see one, just expect somebody else to come up just to stand by, because you don't know who you're dealing with. You know you're a good person. I don't know who you are. We never met each other before. You don't know if I'm a good cop, bad cop. I don't know if you're a good person, bad person, right? I don't know what you have in your car or what you just got done doing or what you're about to go do. You know, so it's pretty much just policy and just precaution just to have an extra body there just for security purposes.
So I have one question, and then I have Brother Samuel's Sister Gray, and I just wanted to wrap up. Is that okay? Okay. So I have and then Andre. Okay. So let me allow Sister Gray to Sasha to say something real quick.
Of whether or not you should record the police, it can be a gray area of the law. Most of the time, it's okay if you're in a public place. Florida law says that if you're going to record conversations, both parties to the conversations have to consent to the recording. If you record something without someone's consent, it has no use in court. It's going to get thrown out. On the other hand, police officers are
they're public officers, and they don't have what we call reasonable expectation of privacy in performing their jobs. So in most cases, you can record them. If you're in a public area where it's well lit and other people can see what's going on, yes, you can record. But you need to be clear that you're recording, don't intimidate, don't get in the way of the officer doing their job, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, let's say the officers are performing a sting operation or whatever the case may be, you probably shouldn't be there trying to record it. So it's, just be careful.
Yeah, these programs are good, but we don't hear the young people asking the questions. And that these programs are for the young people. And those online, if you have questions, you need to ask. Jonathan, as well as myself, we are subject to be stopped like anybody else. We are expected to be stopped. If police pull us, they pull me over and ask you questions, everyone should obey the law. And the thing is that this program is for everybody, more so the young people, young men, because you can see they're dying. And, George Floyd, he complied, and the guy stood on his neck. So I'm just saying that, well, most of the time, it's confrontational. So when the police stop you, my advice, please just cooperate. Take your ticket. The ticket clinic, believe me, they're very good. If police pull you over and that little thing that they have, the radar, and that radar, you see, if that is not calibrated correctly, that's going to be thrown out. Most of the time, I'm just saying, just take your ticket and just go through the legal channel. That's my best advice regarding traffic stop, and then just comply. That's the basic thing. Police officers are just as scared. A traffic stop is a high liability, and for police officers to engage you in that, believe me, heart is racing, everything. We're just as afraid, believe me, as you are. Yeah.
Question. So, is it a fib or is it fact that police officers have a quota of tickets to write per month? Is it fib or is it fact?
All right, I would say both fib and fact, because within the uniform division you have, of course, different duties to act out, right? So within the uniform division on road patrol, we have what we call a traffic unit, right? The traffic unit is specifically to traffic enforcement, right? So for their unit, they get grants from the state, which will say, if you write X amount of tickets, then this grant is for that. However, the same thing applies. But however, the standard road patrol officer, a lot of time, because you have to answer calls and do all that stuff, you don't really have time to do much traffic enforcement. So there's no quota there. Of course, like I said, the traffic unit, they do have a set standard they have to meet for their division, and it's just all for funding and grants from the state. So the traffic unit does, and the traffic unit would be the guys on the motorcycle. So if you get pulled over from a guy on a motorcycle, just know you're getting a ticket, pretty much.
Thank you.
Question though, Chad. I know the sun is about to set, but Jonathan, did you do your presentation that you came to do? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for the most part, I'm just here to answer questions and just to clear up any doubts or any misunderstanding that's present.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Mr. Officer. When a traffic stop gets out of control, I have a tendency to blame the police officer. And it don't matter how unruly the driver was. I blame the police officer because he's the one that has the power. He's the one that has, in most cases, the gun right with him. He is the one that is trained to deal with the civilians and to de-escalate. So why should I say anything different from when things went wrong? It's the officer. Why should I change my thoughts on that?
Okay, because and as she said, there's a lot of gray area there, right? In training, it's not a one size fits all. You know, every situation is unique. Every situation is different. So what I get trained for a general idea and general scenario, but it doesn't fine tune everything that I may come in contact with or I may interact with, right? And at the end, it still comes. We're both grown men, right? So why do you blame me as a grown man and you as another grown man? You have no accountability to take as well for whatever actions that you carry out, right? So if you escalate a situation, how is that my fault for not de-escalating it? When you as a grown man can also control your emotions and the thing you say and the actions that you carry out as well, right? So me personally, I respect everybody, right? If you don't respect me, I still respect you. I don't have to disrespect you. I'll write you 10 tickets if I have to. Go home and cry, right? Feel how you want to feel. I'm not going to disrespect you, though. Yeah.
Because you learn how to deal with people emotion because you are the one that stopped me.
Yeah.
You understand? And I know that within this stop now, I might have to come up with some money that I don't have.
But think about it. Even with that mindset, just because you see the lights, you already have a fixed mindset that you're going to take it to that level, right? So
Well,
you don't even,
I mean,
you don't even give them an opportunity to be a human being towards you. Because as soon as you pull the window down, you're already on 100. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have an open mind as well and be willing to listen and to cooperate. And then it's
I believe that.
effort.
I believe that you know everybody has a responsibility to but I really do believe the officer I basically hold him to be at a higher level.
Yeah.
Because that's his job. That's what he gets paid to do. All right?
Yeah, but for the most part, that's the effort. You always try to de-escalate whenever you can. You always try to make every interaction smooth. At the end of the day, I want you to go home, and I want to go home just the same. So, wherever that's concerned, yes, sometimes it may get out of hand, and, it all depends on the individual you're dealing with and, of course, their morals and what they believe in and how they go about their duties.
What has God?
Well, one here and then over here.
As God's command and keeping people, we are to do everything that lies in our power to obey the laws.
Man, Officer Brooks, I have one. I don't know if it applies to you, but I was told by my boss, who is a white man, he says, when the police officer stops you on the road and he pulls you over, he comes over to you, you should say, good afternoon or good morning or good evening, officer. I don't know why you stopped me, but I thank you for your service. And that should do the trick.
All right. So we have one more. One more. Or two more.
Yeah. So should I trust police officers? Should I trust them?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean,
because I don't.
In what aspect? Why don't you, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know.
So how are you gonna how would you already have a determination you don't know why?
I can't say it here.
Okay. That's respectable. Is the mic on?
All right. So my question is this: as a black male, like, how do you feel knowing that the black community don't trust the cops, right, police? And do you feel pressured, because I'm pretty sure that majority of the force is white? Like, how do you feel being black, dealing with the black community, and then dealing with your peers at work?
For the most part, I don't really experience that, especially with my peers. We're all the same. We talk just the same. As far as dealing with the public, of course, people have their determined mindset, their set mindset before they even know who I am, right? So a lot of times people look at me and think I'm up to no good or I want to hurt them. But a lot of times I'll even arrest people and people will thank me for arresting them and say, I'm glad you arrested me instead of him or whatever the case is. But I treat people with respect all the time. And, at the end of the day, I don't see it different. You're going to get punished by the law regardless. I have no, authority or jurisdiction to punish you myself, right? So a lot of times, I'll laugh with criminals. In the back of my car, we joke, I laugh. You know what I'm saying? Because it's at the end of the day, it's just a job. My job is just to establish what you've done, take you down to the jail, leave it at that. A lot of people talk to me, oh, what's going to happen next? I'll tell them, listen, to be honest with you, I don't know what's going to happen to you next, but and I explain the process to them. I'm very transparent. There's nothing to hide. I have nothing, against them as a person. I don't know them as a person. Before this interaction, I didn't know who you were, so I just take it as that. I talk to you, deal with you the same, and, understand that everybody makes mistakes, and just because, you did this today doesn't make you a bad person. Just learn from it and change and do better. But that's just the mindset that I don't really, judge people or hold it against people.
Jonathan, quick question. Which do you subscribe to, black or blue?
In terms of what?
Your black, your color, or blue,
I mean, of course, at the end of the day, I'm black. I can't put and take off black. At the end of the day, blue is just a career. Blue is just a job. I can get fired tomorrow. I can quit tomorrow. I can never quit being black. So at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's just a job.
Jonathan, thank you. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for participating in the AY program today. Thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to Elder Pierre eventually. I just want to take two minutes. So what I want to do, I just want to quickly summarize, because I know Jonathan came late. So what we did, we started out by stating the statistics in terms of traffic stops. Most traffic stops are uneventful, right? However, minority traffic stops are the ones that have a higher risk of non-fatal interaction and compared to traffic stops that involve non-black, non-Latino persons. We spoke about the rights of the motorist, and essentially I think the summary is just comply, be respectful, only respond, only answer what the officers ask, only provide the information that you're asked. That's well, I think well, yeah, right. So basically, there are rights. However, there are rights, but I think in complying as much as possible to law enforcement, you give yourself the best chance for survival, right?
All right, so I'll just answer that question real quick. So where your rights come into play, it only comes into play if you're in custody, right? If I'm just asking you simple questions, then you don't have to be afraid of your rights or anything. But if you are in custody, then usually they'll explain to you, listen, these are the charges against you, read your Miranda rights, and then they'll ask you, do you wish to make a statement, right? At that point in time, you can either invoke your rights or say yes, yeah, or nay, if you want to speak. If you don't want to speak, then you don't want to speak, then I always explain that, listen, these are the charges against you, this is what I have so far, prove me otherwise, or give your, side of the story just to, whatever charge against you, prove it otherwise, right? However, if you choose not to, then the charges stick. You go to jail for whatever it is. Okay. However, a lot of times they might, give a statement and then it'll, contradict the charge against them, and then, it lessens the charges that you may have. I'm not saying, I recommend invoking your rights or speaking or whatever that nature is. It's all up to you and whatever situation at hand. But if you speak or not, it doesn't really make a difference. If you have charges against you, then the charges still stick.
Okay.
I'm saying that do not make a statement to the police. If the police tells you that you're under arrest and they want to hear your side of the story, this is not the place to give your side of the story. Do not make any statement. I'm saying that as a lawyer. No offense to what Jonathan said, but when you go to court, that's where you get your chance to give your side of the story free from intimidation or any other influence. So Jonathan is a nice policeman. Not all policemen are nice. Some of them lie. They will tell you, oh, Tell me your side of the story. Maybe I'll let you go. And then they don't. And then they use it against you later. And that happens a lot. Officers have, I've seen cases where officers held people in detention and tell them that they're not arrested for hours, days, until they confess to something they never did. It is never in your favor to make a statement to the police of any sort. Don't do it.
So you are, and okay, and
police, you know what I mean? And people think that the police is not their friend. You know, I don't know if Jonathan, he saved someone yesterday, someone's life. He would run to save a life, you know? So people want to say police is not our friend, but we are your friend. We do CPR, we do everything. We are your friends. Don't say the police is not your friend. Because if it wasn't the police, I'm telling you, the society would be overrun. But we got a lot of bad people out there. I work on the inside and also on the outside, so I see both sides. And I can tell you, okay, people are people. And you got some bad people out there. You got some bad police too. Right. I can tell you that. But I'm just saying that people are people. One thing though, during the traffic stop, whatever you say, traffic stop, it can be held against you without he tells you that you have a Miranda, without telling you your Miranda rights. During the next stop, like if you're walking on the road, whatever police say to you, you can talk to him. He cannot use it against you unless he had ridden you your rights.
right. And so what I'll say Brother Smith, you wanted to say something? So,
This is not about a traffic stop. But sometimes when a police stop you, a white police, is the mindset that we have. I get a call over to Davy once, and when I go to the house, I see the big sign, Redneck Heaven, and you all hear about Davy and redneck people. But I go in the name of the Lord, I go and I knock on the door, and the guy come out. He's a cop also too. And I go there to get a job. I end up with all his alarm code. I end up with him with alarm code. So sometimes it's the mindset that we live with.
Right.
But because of slavery, we all hate white man and that. But sometimes it's our mindset. It's not and that start the problem.
Exactly. So what I would say in closing, right, is this. As we go on the road, I would recommend, this is, my personal recommendation, say a prayer before going on the road. Not just for yourself, but for your children and for your police officers. For Lincoln, for Jonathan, because I am sure that there's no certainty that they'll come back home safely. So I just wanted to share Romans 13, first verse. That's what you would. All right, let me not even take away the thunder of Elder Peart. But I want to thank you for this, for your attention. We may do this again, right, Sister Gray? Right? We do this again. And thank you, Elder Peart, for doing best for us.